Variety of topics, guaranteed to mold you into a good guy to know. As
I
always.
messed it up. You were muted
What
for
happened?
half of that. You were muted for half of that.
Oh, well, welcome to the Good Guys to Know podcast, a fortnightly production, bring you information on a variety of topics, guaranteed to mold you into a good guy to know. My name is Gio. It's my pleasure to introduce you to the rest of the Good Guys to Know. We've got on the soundboard, Perek.
What's up, everybody?
And
working out the
Chad.
kinks. Hey, how's it going?
And Mitch.
Hey guys.
And as Good Guys to Know, we like to start each episode with one of our favorite drinks in hand. I am double fisting. One hand is a gin and tonic. The perfect
I can see
summer,
both your
winter
hands
drink.
and you're lying right now.
Yeah, this video now.
Can't do this anymore.
We got a gin and tonic.
Uh-huh.
Like I said, the perfect summer and winter drink.
Could be water.
Holding it in a really weird, like, obfuscating way.
Well, that's because I got
For some
the other
reason,
hand
his hands are still
cross-gripped.
crossed.
I'm
That's how he
cross-gripped.
double fists.
Like a magician that's going to, like, make a card appear or something.
Dubs. Yeah.
Slightly unnatural.
Yeah. And then I'm drinking, well, I haven't even opened it yet, but I have a mango liqueur,
Ah, all right.
which we'll get to this in a second. But before we go there, let's go through drinks. Mitchie, what are you drinking?
I got a good one tonight. It's from Indeed Brewing, which is a Twin Cities tap room / brewery. It's a pistachio cream ale.
Ugh.
I was delighted when my wife brought it home and I tried it out. It's really not that great. I was thinking about it before the podcast started. I've got kind of a hot take on pistachio as a culinary phenomenon.
Yeah, please lay it on us.
It is not that great. Pistachios are great as a nut. They're great as a nut. They're a great nut. It's kind of cool that they're green, right? They're rich tasting and assaulted. No.
This is straight out of Curb Your Enthusiasm.
This is Mitchie's hot take.
Salted pistachios are nice as nuts, but in anything else, like you'll see them in like baked goods, like a pistachio cake or or like patisserie, like a French macaroon with pistachio cream. And I think the only reason they do it is because it's green. It doesn't have a good flavor or a particularly distinct flavor or a nice flavor. It's just green. So I would say that take continues to the beer. Like the beer, like I like the creaminess of it because you guys know I like lacto.
Lacto, yeah.
So the pistachio cream and it's green can, like it's kind of cool looking, right? But I don't get any pistachio, and I couldn't even, like, if you gave me some pistachio extract, you would not say pistachio because I don't think it has a distinctive flavor. Prove me wrong.
Salt is all I know. I love
It's like
pistachios.
the homeopathy of nuts.
No. What's that? What is it? Hormone or whatever it is that helps you sleep?
Melatonin?
Yes, I think pistachios are one of the highest like dose of melatonin you can get from a small amount of food like that. Like it packs a big melatonin punch, I believe.
I think that's true. I think that is true because my wife for a while was eating pistachios
hold on.
to help with sleep.
Nick's liking my new background. I wanted to show that off.
Yeah.
I got this cool.
Spent.
My aunt made this Good Guys to Know mosaic. She took like a
pretty
hammer
cool.
and smashed rocks and put them all together to make Good Guys to Know.
Super sick.
Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
It's
really
amazing
excited about my new
because
setup.
it was like 10 years of minimal efforts. And now you are like the hardest working by orders of magnitude.
Completely
Dog with the
obsessed.
bone.
All we needed to
Emotionally
do is put Perek in
and
front of the
financially.
camera, turns out.
Yeah.
He
Okay,
shaves
so
now. I mean, it's like
Yeah.
he's
what you
bathing
wake up
again.
for.
It's incredible.
it's bathing again.
All right, so pistachio cream, hot take, really hot take.
Yeah,
Too hot.
totally.
Too hot.
Pistachios.
Controversial. I'll probably get hate mail about it, but pistachio is not a flavor, or at least a flavor that's worth anything.
Pistachio is no wireless electricity, but that's neither here nor there. What about you, Chad? What are you drinking?
I'm double fisting too. I've got I got 2 new beers tonight. I'm currently
like 9.
drinking what?
Go ahead.
This is a Galaxy Dry Hop Pseudo Sue from Toppling Goliath, my favorite brewery in the whole wide world.
Yeah.
It's really good because
Is
it's
it different
Toppling Goliath.
pseudo than the normal pseudo
Yeah, it's a different hop varietal called Galaxy. So it's a blend of both Galaxy and Citra hops. I think I like the other one a little bit better, if I'm being honest. It's certainly a good beer, but boy, my big find of the night, I drank this one while I was reading through Mitch's, I don't know, 20, 30 page article that he sent out to us. That actually gripped me and was a good read. But this is from Modest Brewing Company out of Minneapolis. I'd never heard of them before. Have you guys heard of this?
Yeah.
This brewer?
I think so.
Is it modest or modest?
I think it's modest.
Modest?
Is it an E or an I?
Well, it is Modist, so that makes sense.
Modest.
Yeah. All right. Modest. This is a double dry hopped, double New England pale ale called the False Pattern, and this is a good beer. I'm going to buy this again for sure. Highly recommend. Highly recommend. So there you go.
Nice, Puff. What about you, Perrick? What are you drinking?
Bullet rye whiskey, as usual.
It's good.
I brought it
I've
down
had some
here
of
and then
that.
everything's backwards. Brought it down here and then have been getting everything set up and it all melted again. So it's just a glass
Is
of
that
water.
what-
Down.
Is that what I was drinking on the golf trip?
Yeah.
Yep.
It was really good.
It's
I think I've been kind of shitting on you for drinking Bullet every podcast. I'm like, whatever. It was really, really good.
Well, I did also bring Woodford rye.
I
So it's two
think
ryes.
I was drinking the Woodford.
That is really good.
Really good.
That's also really good.
That's one of those things, though, when you're on a golf trip too, that like everything tastes good.
Right. It's like when you're on the
Everything's
beach
a little
drinking
sweeter.
tequila and Corona is all of a sudden the
Uh-huh.
best beer you've ever had. But I'm also double
Yeah.
fisting two different LaCroix flavors.
Oh wow! Look at you go.
Nicely done.
Yeah.
All right, well let's move through here. In an attempt to become even better guys to know, each podcast we take part in an official Good Guys to Know challenge. These challenges, which range from following the paleo diet to solving the Rubik's Cube, last for 2 weeks and will definitely make you a good guy to know. As always, you as listeners are encouraged to attempt our challenges along with us. This week was a listener submitted challenge from the last Twitch stream, and that was kind of like classic GGTK in that it was to try a different flavor of La Croix. For those of you who don't know what LaCroix is, it's like a bubbly, sparkling water, and it comes in evidently many, many types of flavors. I'm going to go first. I dislike sparkling water. Not my jam. I probably had before this podcast fewer than 2 LaCroix ever in my life, and I couldn't
Did
tell
something
you.
happen to you culinarily when you were like 9? Like traumatic, something traumatic culinary experience when you were 9 and stunted you right there. You just froze right there.
I would
I
rather.
get it.
I'm gonna either. No, I don't get
McDonald's
it. I
and Coca-Cola.
Yes.
This guy.
Yes.
I
Of course you
love-
don't like LaCroix if all you drink is Coca-Cola. Classic.
when I'm drinking during the day, it is either my 1 Coke a day, or it's water. And like I love plain, just like a glass of ice water. I drink a ton of water every day.
That's
This
a
is
lot.
like sparkling.
Seems
Yeah,
excessive.
it is a lot.
Yeah.
But sparkling water just doesn't do it for me. So I had an orange. No, yeah, I had an orange one at dinner, and it's just like, it just doesn't taste good. Like I don't know, it barely tastes like orange. Like I think I want
Was it
something.
orange or was it tangerine?
Oh, it's tangerine. It's tangerine. I
I
have
was
an
gonna
orange
say
one
I don't
too.
think there's an orange, but tangerine's
Again,
bad.
the 9-year-old culinary sense. you
Yeah.
know.
But yeah,
Same,
it
same.
looked like an orange.
The can was orange, so it tasted like an
Yeah, it was
orange.
not really orange. Then I have this mango one
That's
too.
purple. That's orange.
Like
That's
Skittles.
green LaCroix.
Yeah,
Skittles and Starburst
terrible.
is his palate.
Ah,
Mango's
not good.
bad.
it's not good. The one thing I did do was I went on Amazon, and you can order a 12 pack of assorted flavors, so you get one of each different flavor. So I did get a bunch of them, and I will drink all
Wait,
of them.
you
at
get
some
one
point.
box with 12 different LaCroix flavors?
Yeah,
Oh, cool.
you get a 12 pack, and there's a different flavor every one. So
My
Is it
sister,
from, is
my,
it from LaCroix?
no, I
Or
think it's
is there
like
someone
I think it's
mix
like
and
third
matching
party. Yeah,
out
like
there?
and
They
I
buy
think it was
12
like,
and repackage them.
and then
Isn't
sell it for
resale
like
of these sorts of things
$15
illegal?
or something.
I feel like
Cool.
you've stumbled onto something.
I mean, it was on Amazon.
was it on the dark web?
Yeah, he went through Tor.
When I was growing up, my sister had an idea. Do you remember when they sold the cubes, those 30 packs of like Mountain Dew?
Yeah.
She had this idea. She called it the combo cube, and it was like a 30 pack, but you'd get, an assortment. Back then, there were no like mix packs.
That's true.
Gotten popular with beer and stuff, but back then it was you had to buy a 30 pack of Mountain Dew, a 30 pack of Pepsi, a 30 pack of Diet. So,
Who talked her out of it?
probably me,
Probably you.
like
Probably
an
the
8-year-old
sensible
boy.
one.
Yeah,
The economics of your idea just won't last.
yeah.
But yeah, so I did it. Who wants to go next?
I'll go next. Gio, honestly, I agree with you. LaCroix is
Ooh.
terrible. I had
Awesome.
I had peach pear, which was new for me. I chose that one because my wife had already bought it and it was sitting in my garage. But also, I thought I might like it because I kind of like pear as a flavor in a refreshing drink. And
Pear,
what I
ick.
decided is LaCroix, every flavor I've ever had, the ratios are just wrong. There's something about it. It doesn't quench your thirst, so it's
Right.
not as good as water. The carbonation is
Planet
a
are
little
you guys
too
living on?
strong to drink it in mass. It just hurts. And there's not enough taste to drink it for the taste. It's like it's not, I don't know. They need to get back in the lab. It's just not right. There's something off.
It also is not even like a palate cleanser. Like it leaves you with something that's like, oh God,
Yeah.
what have I just done?
Yeah.
I'm with you
It's just
100%, man.
Beautiful though.
All right. So I did it. I completed the challenge. I've also decided that LaCroix is highly overrated, particularly by this show, and I will not let it stand any
I
longer.
will not abide.
Okay.
I mean, agree to disagree on almost every one of your points. So I think like I'm wondering in your head like what you guys are expecting out of this drink, right?
Okay, so
here's
if I
what
have to set the bar low, isn't it already a bad drink?
So I'll tell
I'm
you
not
what
expecting much.
I'll tell you what I expect out of it, and so why it satisfies those requirements. I'll give you my requirements and how it satisfies them. When I think I got into it when I was doing one of these kind of hardcore diets that was like cutting out all sugar, cutting out everything, and LaCroix and other mineral waters like it was like a treat almost. Like it felt like you could kind of trick yourself into you're drinking a pop, right? Or you're drinking a Coke or something.
It's like a bad treat.
Yeah, it's you have to put yourself in a terrible place in order to enjoy it, is what you're saying.
You
That
just
was
make
my
sure your
gateway.
head is mentally poor, like not in a good place to start with.
That
and
was
then
my
go
gateway.
forward.
That was my
Okay.
gateway. That was my gateway into it. It is by far the best out of all of the other like sparkling waters that I've had, and there's been a lot of them, especially the last few years. There's been a lot of new entrants to the market. I've tried them all. I've tried bubbly. I've tried
You tried
the
Waterloo?
Costco version. What? Say it again.
Waterloo?
I have not tried Waterloo.
Waterloo is good.
Have you tried water? Just plain
Water bores me and kind of bums me out. Like pouring a glass of water and then putting ice in it and having to wait for it to get cold bums me out.
Yeah, no, I get it. You're too good for water. That's cool.
No, I'm not too good for water. I drink
Bums
water
you
every once in a
out.
while, or like after a workout or something, maybe. But when I want like a treat in the afternoon, I'll reach for
Or
that
a
LaCroix.
pretend treat, at
A
least.
pretend
Yeah, a
treat.
pretend treat.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Of
A
course.
calorie-free,
So that's one of the
zero-guilt treat.
requirements, right? It's guilt-free. I know that I'm not getting anything bad when I drink a LaCroix, right? There's nothing bad coming, and I get a little bit of flavor, right? There's some very bad flavors, particularly tangerine is bad. I'm a fan of peach pear. I'm a fan of mango. The one I tried that was, I think, new. I mean, I can't even remember what I've tried and what I haven't. I think at one point they had a cola flavored one that was disgusting.
They still have that, I think.
Coconut is a very polarizing one. Like you either love or hate that one. I tend to love it. But the one I tried was passion fruit. Perik's got it right there. It was okay. Passion fruit's another one of these things where it's like become this ubiquitous flavor in a lot of things, but I don't think it really has a flavor other than like slightly artificial. Like, have you guys ever eaten a passion fruit? Like an actual fruit? I never have.
So.
It's good.
They serve that
I
at
think
McDonald's?
I did it for this challenge, actually. For this podcast.
2
Really? A
cheeseburgers,
passion
ketchup and
fruit?
mustard only.
Yeah.
Add passion fruit.
Yeah.
Passion fruit on the side.
I also think it's very thirst quenching. I have been known to chug back to back chain chug. I will
Line
chain
'em up.
chug LaCroix big time. And again, it's one of those things that's so guilt free that if I was chugging a Coke or even like a Diet Coke that was giving me caffeine, like I would feel some sort of psychological, dissonance.
How about this
with
for
LaCroix? It's absolutely guilt free. It's in a can, and so it kind of feels like you're treating yourself to some sort of product rather than just like turning on the tap and getting flat water. And so that's why the need that it fills for me.
How about this, Mitch? How about this hot take? How can you roast pistachios just 10 minutes ago, but then praise LaCroix now? I mean, these are very synonymous in their.
So you may have missed
feels.
a nuance in my pistachio take.
Oh, here we go.
I love pistachios as a salted nut. As a salted nut to have with things, it's great. It's a rich, kind of softer nut.
It's like not a treat.
I would call it a treat.
I
a
love
treat.
passion fruits.
My
and I
problem
love
with it-
pears, and I love peaches.
My problem is when it's co-opted by some fancy pastry chef and they say this is a pistachio macaroon and tastes so good because it's a pistachio macaroon and they tint it green. Because pistachio doesn't really have that much of a flavor. It's a glorified peanut. It's a
Did
great
you have a
nut.
traumatic event with a pastry chef?
No, not at all.
No, I think he had a traumatic event with a Diet Coke or something.
No, I think I always
man.
I always thought that pistachio was kind of this like sophisticated flavor, and I just had the epiphany when I drank this beer that it's not a flavor. It's a nut. It's just a nut.
You get that epiphany
Wait,
with
wait,
LaCroix
yeah,
at some
wait.
point. But we'll wait for you.
Oh my goodness.
Oof.
Okay. All right,
Eric, do a better job of
Where are you
defending
gonna
LaCroix
fall
than
here?
Mitch.
Oh my gosh. I'm 100% in Mitch's camp.
Thank you.
LaCroix's the
you
greatest
would
thing
be.
ever. I love LaCroix. It's chuggable. It's
Very
I mean,
chuggable.
part of the enjoyment is
Great burps. Great burps.
part of the enjoyment is some of that pain,
Yeah.
And I would say if it's painful, make sure you got it real cold.
Right.
If you're trying to chug a lime LaCroix out of a warm box, you're gonna have a bad time.
Ooh, flat LaCroix is very bad as well. Very, very bad.
Oh my goodness.
I love it, but I will say, so I tried 2 new flavors: passion fruit and high biscus. I don't know why.
I have both of those. Which one was better?
Can I get that to focus there?
Yeah.
High biscus.
I think you don't pronounce the dash. It's just high.
Oh,
Biscus.
why'd they put it there? They were both. No, I'm not gonna buy any of these new flavors. I like lime, which is like their second flavor. Maybe it was their first. I don't know. There's a plain blue, just like no flavor LaCroix, but then
Blue LaCroix.
Whoa.
yeah, it's just blue. It's
I considered getting that today. When I was in the store, I was like, "Oh, I've never had that before. I don't think I would like that."
yeah.
It's just like all the other LaCroix.
That
Oh no!
no, the new ones definitely taste fake, and
Yeah.
they don't taste properly essenced like some of their core flagship LaCroix.
So what's another? I'm gonna go grab one. They're right around the corner. So lime. What else do I need? What's another classic flavor?
Pamplemousse.
Pamplemousse is the
Bring a
classic.
trash bin, Jeffrey.
If you can't
Oh,
chug,
God.
if you can't chug a Pamplemousse LaCroix, if you're thirsty, then you have problems.
Right.
It's so
Agreed.
good and quenching.
You guys, I love. Okay, Perik's just a masochist. He just loves to feel a little burn.
But
while
I think
he's
they're
trying to
doing the same thing
rehydrate.
that you complain about Surly for, Mitch. Too. They're completely diluting their water brand, which is funny.
A lot of your hot takes are anti-LaCroix at their essence.
That's true. Ooh, I see what you did there with the essence comment.
I
That's
mean,
good.
so many layers.
Yeah, all the ones that are tall, skinny cans, bad. Don't waste your time there.
Leah sent me a picture from the grocery store and was like, "Which one of these do you want?" And it was a whole wall of LaCroix, and I was like, "That's ridiculous. Don't get one of
so
these. Don't get the skinny."
Raz, cranberry, or pamplemousse?
Pamplemousse.
Is it cold?
It's moderately cold.
No way. He just got it from his garage, guaranteed.
What? No way.
It can only be good if it's perfect temperature, Jeffrey.
It doesn't have to be. If it's moderately cold's okay. Just chug it. Like, drink the whole thing.
Oh my gosh.
Feel the guilt wash away.
Some of us aren't as laden with guilt, Mitch.
Well, I think
That's
Gio
also
just got a
probably
new
true.
mouth too, but judging by the looks of that. So maybe he doesn't know what he's talking about. Brand new
All
mouth.
right. I'm taking a slightly different take. That wasn't as bad.
There we go. That's progress. That is the best one. So you're,
What flavor is pamplemousse?
We got to move on.
What is a
grapefruit.
pamplemousse?
It's grapefruit. French for grapefruit.
Like squirt. Perfect.
Yeah.
It's like
God,
a
without
diet-
all
way
diet.
better.
without
Squirt,
17
way
tablespoons
better.
of sugar.
Diet
Squirt
Squirt
is really good.
even way better.
Diet squirt
Diet
also
Squirt's
really good.
fantastic. I don't
That's the
disagree.
jam. Right there.
All right. We missing
Do
anything?
we have some
in the-
listeners? I think we had some listener hate as well. I think
Is it Trevor?
Trevor. I think it was
Hates
Trevor. He was
LaCroix.
like,
Hates LaCroix.
what do you? Yeah.
He's on
Yeah,
Team
I feel
Gio,
you, Trevor.
Team Chad.
Definitely on your team.
Yeah. My first opinion is trash. Hate
Wow,
with a
but Alec, I
passion.
think loved it. Alec, I think liked it, or was like already on the wagon. I think he was doing it like post workout or something. I think.
No,
Mitch just
Alex
went
said
from
this.
loved it to liked it to already on the wagon.
Alec was messaging us about foam roller. That's what you're thinking for workout. Maybe.
no,
okay.
I don't remember seeing anything from
No,
him.
Alec-
About...
Alec wouldn't waste his time with.
He tried
the quad.
coconut and he didn't like it.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, right here.
It was fun branching up. I'm returning my tried and true Raz, cranberry, and tangerine, which are the two that Gio's tried that are newfangled and
No good.
Not great.
not great.
I also loved in his email. Yes, this is Alec the hunting vegan.
That's right. He like loved the hunting episode.
Yep.
And
And he's vegan.
yeah.
Cool. Okay. All right. Well, let's move on to our main pillar, where instead of doing something real official, we're going to be talking about an article that Mitch pulled. Like most of 2020, this is an article about COVID and how it, I guess, kind of how it messes with our lives more than anything. Like how it affects things, because I think that's what I read most about.
Yeah, so this has been on my mind, and it's actually not just an article. And I don't know if you guys want to go for this main topic or a couple of these philosophical nuggets that I feel like are this broader thing that's going on with COVID right now. But I'm obviously, so I have a school-aged kid who's right now, he's started off the year full distance. He's in first grade. He's now moved to hybrid, so he's going in 2 mornings a week. And so I'm just constantly thinking about schools and school reopenings and is that safe? Is that not safe? And so that's like all I read about now, and all I think about now from a COVID perspective. So ran across, actually, it's not even just one article. It's like these 3 articles that are in the same theme. And then I've just been reading more and more and more, like down the rabbit hole of all these studies and stuff. The very first one I saw was in my like local Sunday paper op-ed piece that was talking about how the schools that aren't opening are like disproportionately affecting students of color and lower advantaged students, right? Because those ones are the ones that are more distance. They're going to fall further behind than they already are. That was kind of the thesis there. He also referenced, I think, the one that Chad mentioned, which was this 30-page article in ProPublica. It kind of had that exact same thesis, but really took it through the history of education in America. He follows some vignettes of like some anecdotal, a few students that he like volunteers with and saw these things firsthand, like how distance learning has been going for them. And then finally, I had to find one in the Atlantic. And so I found one by Emily Alster, who I think we've talked about before on the podcast. She writes a lot about like kids issues. She's an economist. Like I'm very
Crib sheets, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yep. I'm very intrigued by all of her stuff. She kind of, became a mother like 2 years before all of us became fathers. And so like she wrote a really cool book about pregnancy and like how crazy people get about like, don't drink a sip of wine when you're pregnant, or don't eat one spoonful of fish while you're pregnant, or your baby's gonna have brain damage, right? And how that's a little overblown. So I'm very sympathetic to that kind of sort of contrarian thing. Then she wrote a bunch of stuff about helicopter parenting and how we shouldn't really worry too much about some of these decisions that we're making. Um, but she has started this project now to kind of track COVID data for schools. It's an opt-in website that they kind of, superintendents can go in, fill out a survey, and then talk about their caseloads. Um, so and her agenda, which is definitely an agenda. I read a bunch of her previous stuff all throughout the summer, and she's a definitely, open everything up, especially for younger kids camp. Which I think I talked a few episodes ago about, my my own biases there, and how like I do
Psychological
feel,
morass.
yeah, like I do feel like I'm seeking out stuff that just confirms my own biases. And so I'll say that up front, that like I really want my kid back in school as much as possible, unless it's proven to be unsafe. So that's where I'm coming from. And so I seem to be finding all of this confirmatory evidence. And so maybe you guys can help me like pull back a little. I think Chad wants to a little bit as well. But anyway, Emily Ulster is an economist. She's got this big thing where she's got, I don't know, a few hundred schools or a few hundred superintendents across the country reporting their COVID data, reporting their, what mitigations they have in place, and all this stuff, so that we can start to kind of see, okay, are these events, are schools places where super spreading can happen? Is this going to be a catastrophe if we open up schools? And basically, so far, with 6, 8, 10 weeks of data, depending on the district, we haven't seen that yet, right? We haven't seen a school be like some super spreader, have the school shut down. And almost a little bit more anecdotally, like when I was having conversations with people on the playground a month and a half ago, with other parents and stuff, there was this sense of impending doom, that schools that reopened were going to bring society down. It was going to be, people are going to be in school for 3 days, and then the whole world was going to shut down again, because it was going to be, cases were going to go crazy. And at least Emily Oster is trying to build the argument that hasn't happened yet. And so that should be encouraging to us. So let me pause there and see if you guys have some reactions to that. I don't think I want to go into all these articles super in depth, because there's actually a more interesting point that I want to get to. But what have your guys' experiences and conversations been on this topic?
Well, my personal viewpoint on this, I feel like a bit of a fence sitter. I haven't really taken a side personally on the open versus closed. I've got a kiddo in kindergarten that's there 5 days a week in person right now, because the town I live in voted to have in-person schools. So the school reached out to all of the school-aged parents and said, what do you want to do? I voted for a hybrid option, but the town overwhelmingly voted for in-person. So they've been there 5 days a week, but she's a week into a full school shutdown as of this moment. Yep.
Okay.
As mandated by the Minnesota Department of Health.
What precipitated that? What
seven positive COVID cases and 100 and some people quarantined. I don't know if the positive cases included just children, or if it was children and teachers. Okay. There's also rumors going around town that some of it was that they had to quarantine so many teachers that they didn't have enough teachers to even run the school. The superintendent sent an email out saying this is mandated by MDH. So I don't know if there's any truth to those rumors, but there certainly was enough of a concern that they're halfway through a 2-week quarantine. At the end of next week, they'll return to school and give it another shot. And I don't know that I really mind that approach. I mean, so they're trying to kind of do both, which is maybe what I'm okay with. Be in person, but then also be very stringent. If problems are happening, we shut her down. And we, stop it at the source if we can find it, and then kind of retry again. Kiddos are masked every day. There's all sorts of mitigation strategies that are in place, but there's also the emergency button of just saying, nope, we're distance learning until we can do better. So personally, that's where I'm at. I'm very interested in this topic, and I'm interested in part because we've got a huge array of different approaches that have been taken across the country.
It seems like there's a lot of data out there. Like there should be sometime a lot of data out there. There's a lot of experiments going on.
Right. And I agree with the second half of that statement, which is part of why I have such a problem with the pieces that you suggested here, is that we have 6 weeks of data, and there's some pretty strong cases being made. And actually the Atlantic article that you mentioned only went through the last 2 weeks of September, so they only had 4 weeks of data.
Right, and that was Emily Oster's data.
Yeah, right. And
that was her article. Yeah.
You also said, admittedly, as you were introducing this, that it was down the rabbit hole and looking for things that confirm your own bias, right?
Yeah.
So that should be a warning right there. And clearly, Emily.
I understand that,
bias.
and so that's what. So my Google searches were, what outbreaks have happened in schools, and I've not been able to find yours. Like sounds like the most dramatic one that I've heard, or that I was able to find.
Well,
right.
I think,
and maybe the data's just not there.
Hang in there. Maybe I think the odds would say that we will see more.
Hang in there.
So that's what I feel like the conversation I had on the playground was 8 weeks ago, and they said, "What? Just you watch 2 more weeks." 2 weeks of school, and we're going to be the
school wasn't in session yet. I feel like you're exaggerating.
For a lot of places in the country, it was. School started at the beginning of August in places like Florida. Like there's a lot of places that did, right? And
so Florida.
So I don't know.
I'm glad you bring up Florida.
Eric, you sent that article about that.
I need you to queue up these numbers, and this was directly from a link from Emily's article. This graph that I pulled.
So yeah, that one. That graph confused me.
I'll explain.
I'm going to need you to explain this graph to me. I'll flip to it
for
here.
sure. I had to take a screenshot from my phone, so I clicked
it's
off
not the
top
best
part of the top one.
So let's see. Can we talk about this in thirds? Can we talk about the top third? First,
am I going to be able to see it or no?
Oh, do you just look at your screenshot?
I need to pull it up on my phone.
Yeah, I want to zoom in so that people can actually see what this chart is.
Okay. So I'm zoomed in on the top thirds. Let me know when do you have it up right now?
Yeah.
Okay. So the top third, I had to chop off the title because I had to screenshot it. But the top third of the graph is in counties where school started 4 weeks ago. All right. So then what you're seeing is the percent change in cases from previous 2-week period. So the very top line says 4 to 6 weeks before school started, you have a 23.4% increase in cases. So cases are going up, right? 2 to 4 weeks
in session. Yep.
2 to 4 weeks before school starts, cases start going down. This is when we as a country started seeing an inflection point where our cases started going down a little bit, or our rate of infection started to go down. 2 weeks before school starts, we're going down even faster, negative 34% rate of change. 0 to 2 weeks after a start, suddenly the improvements that we were seeing stop, and
whoa! It's still, the cases are still decreasing, just decreasing at a slower rate, right? If you're someone like me, that's what this graph screams to me.
Absolutely, they're decreasing at half the rate they were before you opened the schools. Only 2 weeks after school starts, and then if you go to 4 weeks after the school starts, the rate of decrease changes even greater. So we are seeing a reduction in the overall rate of decrease after opening schools. And you see the same thing happening as we go down to the graph.
Right. So,
farther down.
I hate these graphs because it's like it's a derivative.
Yeah.
Right. It's a derivative. So in places where they started, so the middle portion, in counties where school started less than 4 weeks ago, you see the same thing. It's just that they're 2 weeks behind, right? So the things are improving out to that negative 43%. That's when the rate at which cases are happening is dropping the fastest. Then school starts. Actually, it doesn't. 2 weeks before start, it gets a little bit worse. We're still going in the right direction, but not as quickly as we were. And then school starts and it gets a little bit worse. And then I think perhaps
it gets better slower, I think is
Yeah,
that's what we want you to say.
So let's pause here, right?
Worse.
So this is
no,
actually
hold on. Let me
okay.
finish off the bottom of this graph, and then we can discuss.
Okay.
So the last piece of this is in counties where school didn't go back in session. They went online only. And what do we see? We see the improvement, the reduction in case rate continued throughout. It doesn't inflect and then turn back to start getting better slower. It just keeps
getting better
the
faster.
rate of getting better keeps going and going and going. So this is one snapshot of schools in Florida in one study. But Florida's interesting because Florida is a state where they mandated that many schools open, right? And so we've got interesting data there that we don't have in other places. So this would suggest that there is a difference between going back to in school and not. And the difference is we give up some of the improvement that we would have expected otherwise.
Some of the rate, right? So here's this is actually a great example of how people coming from two different ideological perspectives would take this in different ways, right? So me and Emily Oster would look at this and say, cases are still going down in those places. In Florida, no less, cases are continuing to go down. Even though you just unleashed all these kids into school, cases overall are still going down.
So
right?
far.
Yes, they're going down at a slower rate. And you're right, Chad, fence sitter, like let's see what happens in the next 6 weeks, right? And see if that goes positive. And
right,
that
because if you draw a trend line on that data, you could predict that suddenly the cases are going to start going up again in the next 2 to 4 weeks. Now, who knows? That's telling the future, and that's not the business I'm in, right? But
I'm just saying there's a very good case to be made that look, there's a difference here, right? The rate of improvement is better if no one does anything, right? Or someone like me and Emily Oster could look at it and say, look, there was not some explosion here. Cases are still going down in this place where 4 to 8 weeks ago, Florida was like bad news, right? Maybe it was like months ago that Florida was really, really bad news, right? When like spring break was happening and stuff. That was when they really exploded in the summer. But that's another, statistical thing, right? If they started off super high, maybe they're now down to this level where that next 5% is actually, less than the first 5%, right? So there's like a natural slowing down of the reduction, right? So it's just a very interesting case study in how, two people can see the same graph and come to greatly different conclusions. Because I'm encouraged by that graph, not discouraged.
Yeah,
until I see cases increasing.
So, okay, two things. One, first, I need to apologize. My hair light just ran out of battery.
Still looks fantastic.
Man.
Your hair still looks fantastic.
Sorry. I need to I have AC plugs coming in the mail from Amazon, and they arrive tomorrow.
Jeez. Classic.
So my camera battery might also die. Anyway, second point. What's interesting to me, so you look at this chart and everything, and it's like, okay, it's telling a story. But then if you abstract like another layer away from this, there are like huge implications to what a community who is online only school looks like versus a community that's kids in school 5 days a week look like. Thinking of in like the dimensions of like how parents are getting back to work, and if all the kids are in school, then are all the stores opening as well? And so that's like, that to me seems, and I don't seek out these studies, but we're probably running those as well. Like just
multivariable,
getting the kids back in school affects so many things. And so like rate of decrease as one measurement looks this way on this chart, but I don't know, unemployment or something might look different when you layer it over. That would be
for sure.
If I had time, if I really wanted to dig, that would be interesting to find. But
No, it's an excellent point. It comes back to this trade-off that we always seem to come to when it comes to COVID and mitigation efforts for COVID, is that you can give up all of your freedom of movement.
Yeah, we know how to stop it.
Yeah,
Right.
It's clear. We just stop interacting with each other, but then at what cost, right? And that's the equation that we have to come down on one side of. But boy, the other thing that bothered me about this article, and maybe this, Mitch, is where you're going, and if not, then we can go there shortly. But all the articles you sent out set up, at least in the way that I read them, this choice between, because the interesting piece was you have a bunch of typically progressives, liberal-minded folks being the antithesis of Trump, saying no, this is what I wanted to get to. We shouldn't open. Instead, we should shut it down. In part because it's the opposite of what Trump says, but also because it's the safest thing for all of us, and we just need to bite the bullet and do it, right? But what these articles are saying is that those folks are actually hurting people that they historically have really tried to protect. They're hurting minorities, they're hurting lower socioeconomic status individuals that typically progressives are all about, bolstering through social services and such, right? And the articles try to point out that this is an unintended consequence of being anti-Trump and anti-everything that Trump says in this era. And it's an interesting point to be made, and it's kind of a classic like Freakonomics sort of argument. So the problem I have with it is it feels like a sucker's choice to me. It feels like they're making the statement that you can either choose to have schools open and all these people taken care of, or you can choose to have schools shut down and these people have nothing. Where I feel like it's highlighting a problem that when we shut down schools, all these people that don't have the means to school virtually suddenly also can't put food on the table. They can't educate their kids. They can't go to work because they don't have a daycare now. And it makes me feel like we've really highlighted all of the stuff that we were depending on schools for that we maybe shouldn't have in the first place. So that's my major beef with these articles, is that it just highlights the fact that we need to be putting more time and energy and probably money into supporting folks so that we can withstand a crisis like this.
So this is the topic that I did want to get to, and it goes far beyond just the education and opening schools issue, right? It's this, we in America, once again, we've managed to hyper politicize something that probably should not have ever been politicized, right? You're like on one side of this thing, and Trump has done such a horrible job that like anything he says, there's a group of people that go so far the opposite way. That so another spot this has happened, right, is the vaccine talk, right? I've heard people say, if Trump says to take a vaccine, I'm not going to take it, right? So right.
I think, I don't remember if it was Biden or Harris.
Kamala Harris said it. She said it the right way. She said, if the scientists tell me to do it, I will do it. If Trump, if Trump tells me, I won't. But I think there are people out there that if Trump is for a vaccine, they will say against it, no matter what the science says.
Oh, just because they don't like Trump.
Yeah,
exactly. As a protest.
Exactly.
Right.
Who's Trump?
Exactly.
Who's what? What are you guys talking about?
And so that was the thing I picked up on one of these articles. So let me read this pull quote from it, which is another example of this same phenomenon, right? So on July 7th, so this is back in the middle of things, right? President Donald Trump held a series of events at the White House with Betsy DeVos, who's also super polarizing Secretary of Education, to demand that schools open. Quote, we're very much going to, this is such a Trumpy quote. We're very much going to put the pressure on governors and everybody else to open the schools, he said. It's very important for our country. It's very important for the well-being of students and parents. So we're going to be putting a lot of pressure on. Open your schools in the fall, end quote. And then it goes on to say in the article, the effect of Trump's declaration was instantaneous. Teachers who had been responsive to the idea of returning to the classroom suddenly regarded the prospect much more warily. Quote, our teachers were ready to go back as long as it was safe. Randy Weingarten, the longtime president of the American Federation of Teachers, told me. quote, then Trump and DeVos played their political bullshit. Ryan Hooper, the former soldier, saw the effect on his colleagues. It was really unhelpful, he said. Right. So I feel like the teachers I talked to in the summer were kind of these fence sitters. They're like, God, I don't know. Like like I would rather be in the classroom. Like I would rather be teaching my kids. So like if it's safe in September and they put enough mitigation, like I think I'll try it out and see how it goes. Right. And then, Trump and the Republican Party have done this whole reopening thing, just like they did with the reopen the economy thing, right? And aggressively try to reopen everything. And they've chosen that this is now political. And so once that thing becomes political, you have to choose a side. And if you're against Trump, you choose the side of close down and shut down. I feel like I saw this with governors too. When things were shutting down, like the more the tighter restriction and the quicker you did it and the more extreme you were, like the more you distanced yourself from Trump and the Republican Party. And so like the better you were without without looking at the costs of it. Right. And so what you have now is like these urban areas, are the ones that are most restricted as far as schools go and the most online, and that they're particularly serving these people, these kids that are worse off. It's just a very weird, interesting phenomenon. So both the vaccine thing and the schools thing, it's like, just do whatever Trump doesn't say, right? And go as extremely the other way as you can. Whereas we should be listening to scientists on all this shit, like, and figure out what they say is safe, and public health people, right? Who tend to be, tend to take the externalities into effect as well. So that was kind of the stuff I've been thinking about. What do you guys think? Some of you guys are nodding.
Yeah,
I have two thoughts. The first thing about Trump is that, like, I feel like he kind of made his bed. Like, he set himself up for this failure in a way. Mm-hmm. So I don't have a lot of sympathy.
Of course.
And I guess I understand the people who are becoming like hyper polarized.
Yep. It's completely understandable. Yeah.
Right. The other thing, just in schools in general, is I'm always going to choose. I say this realizing that I may even contradict myself, but I would say I'm always choosing science. Like, that is how I'm wired. 4 weeks, 6 weeks, like, to make any grand decisions about what's working or not working in that amount of time seems very ill-informed. I mean, what's the incubation period of this is like oftentimes multiple weeks. So if we're cutting our time in half or in a third, I mean, that's just like, it's really hard to think that people are making wise decisions, scientifically wise decisions, in such a short turnaround time.
Yeah, there's like 2 data points. There's how are things in the 2 weeks before we started monitoring versus how are things at the end of those 2 weeks. And they try to give the study more power by saying we looked at 200,000 kids across 47 different states, but it doesn't fit. Talk to me in 6 months. I'll be much more apt to listen.
So the person like me would say there were a lot of summer school programs. My kid was in summer stuff, like camps and stuff, that he was with other kids and adults. Europe has opened a lot of their schools. Like, there's just a lot. It's not, you know what I mean?
Apples and oranges.
Is it?
Yeah.
How long
kids in a classroom with a teacher? It's kids in a classroom with a teacher, right? And so where are the catastrophic outbreaks?
When I say apples and oranges, what I'm saying is the way that the United States has handled the coronavirus is
fair.
The one of the worst. So to compare it to almost every country in Europe is not a fair comparison.
And if the bar is catastrophic outbreaks, I mean, I get that you're probably being a bit hyperbolic. I hope you are.
Of course.
That shouldn't be the bar, though, right? I mean, we should be trying to save human life. And we're still having to make an equation, no matter how much you kind of separate yourself from what it actually means if someone gets sick. Like, you can just turn it into numbers like Emily did and say, well, it's only 0.17, percent. So that's only like 1.7 kids out of 1,000. But what happens to that one kid, and then that kid that only gets 0.7 of his body infected? What happens to them, right?
I mean,
who knows
that
at this point?
that statement is, to me, what makes this so difficult is like, it seems like you have a goal in mind, but there are probably about 50 different goals out there.
Right.
Completely legitimate goals. Some people need to get back to work so they can pay their rent. They don't care if there's an outbreak of kids who have a very high, like, success rate of surviving the getting COVID or whatever. Like, that risk profile is not something that you can diminish because it's completely valid for somebody. And so that's what I struggle with almost all of this, is like, we're looking for like a silver bullet type thing is what people want. Do we open or do we close? And it's like, it's not a binary thing. What I do like hearing is that your school closed because they had problems.
It seems
and maybe a school down the road from you didn't close because they didn't have problems.
That's actually true.
Yeah.
They're in
they're
in big trouble right now because the parents are livid that their superintendent didn't send out an email and didn't tell anybody, and they're I think suing the school district.
But even that, it's like, okay, one school's goal there was to keep people healthy, and the other people who have healthy kids at their school and it's not closing, you know, or vice versa. I'm kind of losing myself in my thought here, but keeping the kids home is affecting people negatively when their goal is not necessarily to keep their kids healthy. It's to stay employed and to do all these things. It's like they're getting their goals damaged when somebody else is trying to solve a problem they're not prioritizing. And it's you mix that up at a national level and try and make this decision at a macro level, and you're never going to win. And that's what I hate most about how all of this is becoming so binary. You're either you either want to do this or you want to do that. And to me, it's like we should have more schools. We should have smaller schools. We should have like that would make it somewhat flexible in an idealistic view, obviously, which is
billions of small schools, just only the size of your household.
Yeah.
So if you do, so if you do get back to like the inequity issue, right? Like I'm sure you guys know this anecdotally. Like I have neighbors that have hired a tutor for their kid to do distance learning with, right? White rich parents that have done that. I have another friend that hired like a full-time nanny slash person to help with distance learning, right? Guess who doesn't have the means to do that? All these people that are already doing the achievement gap, right?
So the other side of that coin, the other side of hiring that tutor, is somebody who wants to send their kid back despite some of the risks because it's important for them to keep working and stuff, and so they should be afforded that. Like it should be, but they shouldn't be able to, wreck somebody else's life because 51% of the people at the school wanted to open it 5 days a week and 49% didn't. That's why it's so hard because it's coming down to 51 to 49, and 49 is going to lose. And at a scale like this, it could be catastrophic if it's a binary choice.
I'm also impressed that your school clamped it down and like said, yep, this was our plan. Like they had a plan and they stopped it. I've also talked to another.
They did it. Let me just qualify that for a second. The email said MDH, Minnesota Department of Health, says we must shut down. Whoa. So they kicked it down the road.
Tried to pass the buck a little bit.
Which I'm okay with. In some ways, that's why you have a governing body, to be the
deal in absolutes.
So this is where we're learning too. I talked to another friend that you guys know. I'll tell you who after, but his kid is also in first grade, and they had like a case in their classroom, but they didn't even shut down the whole class because they had cohorted the people even in the classroom where his daughter stayed with the same 4 kids like the whole day, like sat at the one table with just those kids, and so the person who got the positive case had to go quarantine for 14 days or whatever, but everything else kind of went on business as usual and like nothing happened. Like that happened the first week of school. She caught it outside of school. Like that seems like a very smart, targeted way to do school in this new weird environment we're in. So
yes and no. I'll push back on that a little bit. I think in general, I agree with you. I like the idea of kind of having kids in pods, and probably that kid and then all the other kids at that table needed to go
Right.
quarantine.
Exactly. That's what happened. So 4 kids instead of like the whole school, right?
But the guidance that they're working on is how you identify close contacts. And the most recent is anybody you've been within 6 feet of for 15 minutes or greater is considered a close contact, even if you're masked, interestingly.
Right.
Now, there's nothing magical about 6 feet, remember. This is all, it's not black and white. You're not, there's not zero risk to the other tables in that classroom. There's much less risk. And there's not zero risk to that teacher who probably looked over the shoulder of those kids to help them out with assignment at some point and then went to another table. They're not going and sanitizing themselves in between tables. So again, the risk is lower for the other kids in that classroom, and that's a mitigation strategy that probably is helpful, but it's not zero risk. It's not the silver bullet, again, like Peric was talking about.
But every single other decision in society that has been made since the beginning of this has not been about zero risk. We've talked about that. We talked about this early on, right?
But I don't think
kids are going to get cases.
I don't think people respect how many different varieties of risk there are.
I don't think
Yeah,
they do.
I think
probably
people
true.
think there are 3 varieties of risk, and there
probably
are
true.
thousands. Like it's
Yes.
so complicated.
It's a slider bar. It's not a
Yeah.
this or that, right? Yeah,
So this other-
I'm with you.
So this other, maybe we can close with this, but this other thought experiment came into my mind. What if next week Trump came out and said, I was wrong. We need to shut down every single school in this country and go to pure distance learning for everything. What do you think would happen?
Dogs and cats living together.
Yes,
Well,
there'd be
mass
2 camps.
hysteria.
There'd be
Like what would happen? I mean, that was what really struck me about some of these articles, right? Was just like I'm going to be anti-Trump no matter what he says, right? So what if that happened? What if he reversed? Do you think there would be people that totally reverse?
absolutely.
Probably.
And that's like what makes me ashamed to be an American. Or like a part of me that makes me ashamed to be an American, where it's like if he changes what he says now,
Well,
we're not going to.
there's got to be a reason for it, right? So like, if I were somebody that disagreed, like, whatever, patently, wholeheartedly, automatically with everything he said, I would absolutely figure out a way to rationalize that he had an ulterior motive or something, or that he was making money off of it, and so we shouldn't do that or something. It would go just completely binary again. Everybody would shuffle around and switch sides, but the problem of the binary still exists, I would say.
But can I just, Mitch, I just got.
It's a thought experiment. It's a thought experiment.
It's a thought experiment that's designed to get the answer that supports the point you're trying to make. If Trump, instead of saying we have to do it all this way or all that way, came out and said, let's have a nuanced approach. Let's listen to scientists and let's do what makes sense based on community risk factors and community support needs. Then I think you would have way less people saying, no, we have to do the opposite of all of that. Right. I think
I agree with that.
You're presenting extremes, and he lends himself to presenting that way because that's tends to be how he lives his life, it seems. So, I wouldn't be so frustrated about being American. I would also say that it's not just an American thing to have a team that you follow. This is a human
tribe
thing. Exactly. So we might ascribe
point.
to it a little bit more than others, certainly. But
Boy, just to throw something else on top of that, like what happens if there's a change in the administration? Like what happens if Biden wins the election? That's been my thought. It's like, well, what if all of a sudden we have someone who has a much probably bigger stick in terms of ruling, you know what I mean? Like in making
more sway with the public.
Yeah. Or not, but also not more sway, but like more willing to make mandates. Yeah. Like then it's going to flip the other way. It's just, it is going to get
My question
messy.
would be, why would a Democratic president have much more sway than a Republican president?
No.
Sway was the wrong word.
Yeah, sway. I didn't. Yeah, I thought you were going public perception ways, but you were going just power wise. Like
I mean just saying that
power
like
to
I
mandate.
think Biden would be more likely to Trump's response pretty much this whole time has been like, you guys figure it out. Which when you say it that way makes you sound like an ass. When you say it like this is a nuanced approach and I think every community needs to make their own decision. Like
Eric's
That sounds
response
better.
to the sounding like an ass thing was beautiful. I knew this was coming because this is Peric. You probably appreciate that approach, right? Where he said, "You guys figure it out. What makes sense
completely
for you."
passively, like in that I don't. If you ask me what his approach was, that isn't what I would qualify it as necessarily.
And Trump didn't do it. I mean, Trump. Let me read this quote to you that he said about schools on July 7th. We're going to put a lot of pressure on open your schools in the fall. Like that's no
not
new.
really-
That's the no nuance way. He's not saying leave it up to you.
He's saying
Right?
you won't get reelected if you don't follow my.
He's challenging governors to oppose him, right? And he's shitting on ones that don't do what he wants them to do, right?
Yeah.
Now, Gio, if you think that like a Biden would be a little more understanding, which I think he would, or at least a little more political and like
Savvy or
something.
empathetic.
Yes. I was telling this to my wife the other day. I was like, God, I wish Obama was around. Like, I think his just response to all this would have been so much more like
Eloquent.
and like I would have felt better about life.
Thoughtful.
You know what I mean? Like he would have been like, this sucks. Like this is bad, and I'm sorry. Or like not I'm sorry, but like this. He would have just been better.
Yeah.
And I'm not like a Obama evangelist or anything, but like he would have been. It would have felt better.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Hey,
do we
maybe
open
Trump does that.
schools or
Maybe Trump does that behind closed doors and we just don't get it. It just doesn't get through the muck of all the other shit to actually
Mainstream
make
media
something.
probably doesn't
Yeah,
report it.
man. Yeah, man. Podcasts are the worst.
any of your guys' schools open? What's the situation there? Oh no, Peric, you've got schooling at home right
I got
now.
kindergarten at home.
Mitch,
So that was a big decision. But,
2 weeks 2 weeks ago we moved to hybrid. So we started off the year full distance, and now we're hybrid, which means he goes in from 7:45 to 11:45 on Thursday and Friday.
mm-hmm. And Gio's
Whoa.
kids are a little young.
That's
I don't know
quite
what their preschool situation is, but
you on hybrid.
Yeah.
That's
It's
like
quite a
it's like 90% gas, 10% electric. Kind of
we heard hybrid and then we thought, oh good, so he's gonna be like half and half, like he's gonna be in half and out half. It's like
Not
nope,
quite.
you have Thursday and Friday from 7:45 to 11:30.
Interesting.
Sweet.
Awesome.
That helps me.
it's
That helps
also
me in my
interesting
job.
that we're all in Minnesota. We're all of very similar socioeconomic status, very similar backgrounds, very similar communities, and we have very different ways of dealing with this.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the smorgasbord across the country right now.
And none of us are doing something stupid. Like, you know,
Right.
we're not, none of us are being completely reckless. We're all just evaluating our own life and our own circumstances.
Yeah. Well, time will tell on that reckless comment. We'll see.
Well-
We might look back and think,
No, there's no way.
That was
I
dumb.
always loved this in
We shouldn't
economics.
have gone on that golf trip.
In like our economics class or whatever in high school, like 101 type stuff, talking about irrationality and how everything is rational. And it was always like, every decision everybody makes is rational.
Homo economicus.
And it was kind of like people would
You guys are nerds.
well,
is that an offensive?
you can take
phrase? I
two
don't know.
tacks there. You can you can say that's wrong. People make irrational decisions all the time. But as a professional rationalizer, I feel like, I could not make an irrational decision because I would rationalize it as I need to do something irrational, and therefore I rationalized it. It's a rational decision.
Oof.
It's like this whole
Oof.
chicken and egg thing, and
Yeah.
so that's what I think about this. It's like people aren't, even if you're choosing to be reckless, you probably have a reason to be recklessly doing something. You hate the world. You had a experience at McDonald's when you were 9 years old or something.
Mhm. But does that absolve you
No,
from
it
ever
didn't.
making a wrong decision?
Well,
Is that
wrong
the
is
point you're
completely
making?
different
No,
than
but
rational.
you can understand why. Yeah.
I mean, rational is a loaded word for sure.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Well, let's just say wrong then. One of us on this show might currently be making the wrong decision.
Welcome back to the stream, Polar Nights. He was talking about our beards last time, ranking us from 1 to 4. He noticed that none of us have beards anymore. So that's fantastic.
Gio's got definitely.
Yeah, he's got it. But
This
he
is
was
continual.
he was in first place last episode, so I just shaved.
Okay,
his
well,
jury
let's,
duty.
Oh, man, that should be a podcast.
Yeah,
I would love to hear.
after I do it. Yeah.
I'm jealous.
You can tell us all the things about the trial.
All day, everybody at work's telling me how to get out of jury duty, and I'm like, why would I want to get out of jury duty?
Yeah.
And you
Gary,
get paid
offer.
well.
First of all, if I get out of jury duty by lying under oath, I don't really feel great about that. They're all like, "Oh, just tell them you hate the justice system, and they'll dismiss you immediately." It's like,
But is it rational to say that?
for them,
Yes.
yeah,
It is.
yeah,
it's wrong.
because they value not doing jury duty. I'm telling you,
does jury
it's
duty
chicken and
even
egg. You can
look
go
like?
forever.
All right, let's stop. Let's
Is it-
stop
is it
jury.
tele?
Let's save jury duty. Let's save jury
Alright,
duty.
alright.
We're running along here. Let's save
Maybe I'll
jury
live
duty
stream
from
it.
duty might be
actual
nice.
information.
Yeah.
Good articles, Mitch. Thanks for reading them aggressively, Puff. Helped with the
Aggressively.
conversation for sure. Well, I mean,
I
aggressively.
learned
like
a lot of things tonight. I appreciated it, Mitch. Those
Yeah,
were good reads.
Exactly. All right, you guys ready for the best segment ever in podcast history?
Yeah, let's do this.
Is it like a fanfare or something, Perry?
No, the video transition has occurred.
Oh, the video transition.
Oh yeah. Trivial pursuit time. Yeah.
Scores, we've got Chad at 20, Mitch at 18, Peric at 17.
And for you astute listeners, exclamation point Sig Sir in chat will our bot moderator will spit back the scores of significant surrender for you in case you're ever
Oh,
curious.
that's cool.
And
Exclamation
those scores
point
are
Sig Sir. I noticed I
Polar
loaded up
Knights is-
initially with me having 37 instead of 17. So
Yeah, that's not quite right.
Why is Geo bottom?
Gio's bottom because he's the host. He doesn't have any score, so I moved him to
Yeah.
the bottom.
Yeah, it makes
Convenient because he'd be losing by a lot if you weren't.
sense. I think that's proven incorrect, right? Who was the worst trivia guy?
Certainly a bottom. Certainly.
I was the current winner.
Yes, Chad winning, but the worst at trivia. Here we go. Significant surrender. Question number 1. What former Soviet republic offers tourists a scenic ride from Pinsk to Brest?
I don't know.
Chad,
Go ahead, Chad.
Ukraine.
Incorrect.
Peric.
Go ahead, Peric.
I was going
Don't
to say
say Ukraine.
Yugoslavia.
Incorrect.
Don't look
Can you
at chat.
repeat it?
I think
Can you
we
repeat
might have
it?
gotten an answer in chat. This might be a side effect of live stream that we hadn't thought of.
What former Soviet
Mitch,
republic
don't look.
offers
You can't
tourists
say that
a
now.
ride from
You can't say it now.
Pinsk to Brest?
USSR.
No.
Tell me he's
Poland
right.
Is correct. It
Belarus
was
is correct?
Belarus.
Oh my
Belarus.
Polar
Ooh,
Knights.
we got
Polar
a new
Knights. Be careful.
challenger.
All
Don't
right,
you
no-
guys look at those?
Polar
Alright.
Knights has entered the chat.
All right, I'm getting rid of chat
Usually.
while we play this game. Okay.
Okay, here we go. Second question. Who passed up a trip to the moon in Apollo 13 so he could get locked in a nut house in 12 Monkeys?
Peric.
Go ahead, Peric.
Brad Pitt.
You are correct.
What?
Good,
baby.
good. It would take me a while to get
Oh, the movie. He wasn't really.
Yeah.
gonna
there. He was
go
going to
the
be Tom
moon.
Hanks? Or
I don't know
Tom
what he
Hanks'
was going to be.
character?
Ooh, that's 18, baby. I have
Yeah,
so many
there
things to
you go.
update now. Now that I have that chat bot, I have to go.
Can I just assume that you're going to keep this correct, or should I keep trying to update it?
No, I kept it correct. We're 18. Mitch and I are tied at 18. Chad is at 20. And let's just do
Okay,
a quick
next question.
pound Sig Sir. And we'll see. Peric's at 18. Chad's at 20. Mitch at 18.
Cool. Next question. What fundamentalists set moral standards at Lynchburg, Virginia's Thomas Road Baptist Church?
Was that a complete sentence?
Chad,
Go ahead, Chad.
the Ku Klux Klan.
Nope. Let me try again here. What fundamentalist sets moral standards at Lynchburg, Virginia's Thomas Road Baptist Church?
Oh.
Did you say fundamentalist?
Apostrophe S, I think, is what I'm hearing.
No, fundamentalist.
Okay.
Ugh,
Singular.
I wish you would pronounce your words correctly.
Like having some brain problems. I can't even have I don't even have a guess.
What's that? I'm totally blank. We're out of. I think we're out of time. This is unfair.
Yeah.
It's the.
You want to take a guess, Puff, for fun? Half point?
Yeah, I'm gonna say the guy who's the head of the Mormon Church.
That's what I was thinking. I couldn't think of
Joseph,
him.
is it Joseph something?
Technicolor Dreamcoat? No, the answer was Jerry Falwell.
That dude.
Falwell. Oh.
Yep.
I think his son was in the news recently.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Did my camera battery just die? Can you guys see me
it just
anymore?
Yeah.
went upside
You look-
down,
you
saying
look
battery
black now.
Oh
exhausted.
man! Seriously, my
How's
power
your-
my
how's
power
your hair
supply's
now?
my power supply is coming in the mail tomorrow, so that it never runs out of battery.
We can
But we
still hear
recorded.
you.
Likely story.
Yeah, you can still hear me, of course.
That's what you get for over engineering.
No.
All right, here we go.
That's what we get for recording a day early.
Next question. Were you ready for this, Perry? Ooh,
Absolutely.
heck at it.
Born ready.
He's
What?
back.
Next question. What skin magazine overcame a congressional...
Perrick.
Mitch.
Go ahead, Perrick.
Penthouse. The People versus Larry Flint.
Incorrect.
Mitch said his name. Yep.
Playboy.
God,
Playboy is correct.
2 on the nose. What a horrible game this is.
Yeah.
Bottom right. Hold on. This is complicated. Mitch, you go to
19,
19.
I believe.
all right. Boom, 19.
Here we go. Next question. What are the 7 million U.S. sufferers of atomic... What are the 7 million U.S. sufferers of atopic dermatitis likelier to call their ailment?
Perrick.
Go ahead, Perrick.
Eczema?
That's correct.
Oh,
Hey.
nice.
Nice one.
Very
Perry.
good. Woo.
Close the gap on chat a little.
Yeah, you guys are doing great.
Oh, is there
So,
one
Chad,
more?
One more question. Last question for the night. What sport reveres Joe Lessard Jr. as, in quotes, the Sultan of Spit?
Perrick.
Mitch.
Go ahead, Perrick.
Baseball.
It's not baseball. It's the only sport Mitch knows.
Uh,
Ball
Cricket.
base?
Nope. Or ball base. Chad, would you like the question one more time?
Yeah, I would.
What sport reveres Joe Lessard Jr. as, in quotes, the Sultan of Spit?
I bet I know what it is. Give me another guess for 0 points after Chad guesses.
I'm gonna say darts.
It's not darts. Go ahead, Mitch.
Sunflower seed spitting?
No, very
Watermelon?
close.
Watermelon?
It was cherry pit
Oh.
spitting.
Ah.
Okay.
No
So-
chance.
We're at
19, 20, I think, right?
19, 20. Is that what we're locked up at right now?
Parkour.
Boy,
that'd be
as
really
rough
good.
a night as I
Pretty
had,
close.
I feel lucky.
Yeah.
So
Not
yeah,
bad.
Chad's at 20. We're both at 19. Sorry, is that what's showing on live TV? I believe it is, and that's what I've got.
that.
Let's
Yeah.
just
I
pound.
love that live view. That's a cool live view.
Pound Sig
Yeah, that
Sur.
is nice.
Pound Sig Sur,
okay.
and then in chat you get our score, in case anybody's ever curious.
So, challenge time. Have you guys seen these videos online of this basketball beer trick shot
Mhm.
thing?
Oh my
Yes.
goodness, yes.
Yes.
That's what we're doing.
Oh,
Cool.
thank-
You have to
With LaCroix?
record it. No, you have to use a beer. I think there's something about it pouring all over yourself when you screw it up, but it's not the same with LaCroix. With nothing.
Should I pull
taste
up a
nothing
video of
water.
this? Can I? Will that be
Yeah,
easy
you
to
probably
find?
should.
Yeah, I
Bottle
mean,
of- it's a bottle of beer, right, on a
Do
basketball.
beer can basketball or something. I bet
Beer
you-
basketball.
Yeah, I think it can be a bottle or
Rocket
a
Challenge
can.
TikTok compilation. Is that going to be something I can show on the stream here?
It's definitely a
to say.
TikTok thing.
Yeah, let's transition to my browser here.
What's that, Mitch?
It's like a TikTok dance move. They go like this with their like cereal bowl.
So he's got a beer on a basketball. Oh, he nailed it on that one. You guys can't see this.
I'll watch it on the live stream.
It's on the stream.
Oh, he's doing a natty light. Oh my goodness.
So that's the challenge, but you
Okay.
have to film it. Have
Alright.
to film it. I think half of this is the errors that go along with it. So
Okay.
let's see how it goes.
All right.
Basketball beer challenge.
Oh,
I just drank my last pistachio cream though.
I don't know if that's a good one for this challenge, but yes, it could be.
okay. The video is good. The live stream video that you guys can't see is pretty good.
Yeah, I can see a little bit of it. Oh God.
Okay.
Well,
Let's see how it
we
goes.
figured out COVID. Now we're gonna drink a beer off a basketball.
Oh God.
Hopefully.
Parkour.
Parkour, I think, was a Sultan of Spit guess back when that.
Yeah, that was a salt and
like-
speak.
Oh really?
Yeah,
I thought that was a
maybe.
challenge. I was like,
Or a challenge is hilarious. That's a great challenge.
Video ourselves doing parkour. Oh my gosh.
It's like the Office episode when Michael and Dwight are running around and like parkour, parkour.
Yeah, and then they jump in that like refrigerator box.
Yeah,
And it just-
Andy does. It just disappears.
I just watched
God, great
rewatched
show.
all of The Office.
Yeah. All right, that's the end.
We good? Oh, I got stuff to do now.
yeah. I don't have to do anything anymore. This is really good.
It's way more freeing.
You guys are unmuted now. Nobody can hear you anymore.
Good night, ladies. Good night, ladies. Good night, ladies. We're going to leave you now. Good night, ladies. Good night, ladies. Good night, ladies. We're going to leave you now. Merrily we roll along, roll along, roll along. Merrily we roll along o'er the deep blue sea. Merrily we roll along.